In these Monday messages, Pastor Jen and I have been sharing a variety of different scripture passages and how they speak to our experience and to God's call on our lives. Last week, Pastor Jen shared Psalm 40 with us, a psalm that speaks to the wide range of human experience, from the highest joys all the way down to the hardest depths. This week, I want us to look at a little text from the Gospel of Mark, a text that, quite frankly, I had overlooked until quite recently when someone pointed out its importance to me. The text is Mark chapter 3, verses 13 through 16. It is when Jesus is calling his first disciples. Here it is from Mark chapter 3. Jesus went up the mountain and called to him those whom he wanted, and they came to him. And he appointed 12, whom he also named apostles, to be with him, and to be sent out to proclaim the message, and to have authority to cast out demons. So he appointed the 12. Now, I had always realized that in this passage, Jesus summons his first followers and sends them out into the world to proclaim the message of the good news of God's great love and to have authority to cast out demons, to be a healing presence with people and in society. These are ways of talking about the basic things that the church does, whether in the time of the coronavirus pandemic or not. We live and practice and embody the message of God's love for all people, and we engage in the work of ministry, of visiting the sick, and of working to reduce homelessness and racism and other demonic, distorting forces in our society. These are the active components, the message and the work, both in the church's ministry and in our own individual lives of faith. What I hadn't noticed until recently was what comes before these two, before they are sent out to proclaim the message and to engage in the work of ministry. Before Jesus sends his disciples out to engage in this work, before he sends them out to do the work of ministry, the text says in verse 14, Jesus appointed 12, whom he also named apostles, to be with him. So before Jesus sends his disciples out to do anything, before he go out to engage in any kind of work, Jesus calls his disciples to be with him. Their active ministry begins in their fellowship with him. Their lives of prayer and worship and relationship with Jesus are the source of everything else that they do. Now, the implications of this are enormous. If we want Jesus to use us in his work in healing the world, we first must spend time with him. If we want our work and our active ministry to be fruitful, we must first ground that work in the deep and abiding knowledge of God's presence and love with us. Now, it is really easy to skip over spending time with Jesus. Sometimes we can skip over spending time with Jesus because we think we don't have time for something like that, don't have time for contemplation or daily worship and prayer and rest. There are too many things we've got to do. Too many emails to send, too many Zoom meetings to organize or attend, too many news feeds that we need to consult. And sometimes we can skip over spending time with Jesus because we think we're supposed to do all of life on our own. But being with Jesus, consciously spending time with him, is not an add-on to get to if we get everything else done, nor is it something that is only reserved for monks who live in the monasteries. Being with Jesus is the first thing for all of us. And it is only after being with Jesus in the passage, it is only after being with Him that the disciples are then sent out to proclaim the message and to cast out the demons. Now, if you're anything like me, it is so easy to skip past and to skip over spending time with Jesus, to think that there are just so many other things that we've got to get done first. I wonder what it would look like for us to make being with Jesus a priority in our daily lives and on our agendas. Friends, be well, stay safe, and may you come to know in a deeper way this week the knowledge of God's love and God's presence with you in your daily lives. We'll see you soon.